Cam Inman tweeted this, that John Lynch said on KNBR that Elijah Mitchell's knee issue has taken a positive turn. He'll be a game-time decision on Thursday. He's had a concussion protocol. Knee came on the same play in Seattle, Lynch says. Did we know the knee injury happened on the concussion play? I did not realize that.
What I assumed, I didn't read that much into it. Yeah, I thought it was one of those, like, he passes a concussion protocol, but on Monday morning his knee really hurt and they gave him an MRI and he had something going on. That's what I envisioned. Because he shows up to practice or Monday morning to the training room. He's got a shattered finger that he's trying to overcome. He's got a newly concussion and he's limping. It's like, I play running back. I've started 6 straight games for Kyle Shanahan. I've been in the league for 6 months. He's going to kill me.
I just think, given how often guys get hurt, you need another guy healthy, just in case Jeff Wilson Jr. take a couple carries from Debo, even if he's not 100%, although you don't mess with a knee like you mess with a broken finger, right? Though a broken finger can be dicey because if you can't grab the football. But if he's healthy enough to play, I just think, again, I go back to the COVID statement I made at the beginning of the podcast. Just the number of players you have available, I think, is so critical. You just never know when you're going to lose somebody. You could lose somebody on the plane. Right? You could lose somebody in the locker room, the bus. Like, COVID has created a scenario where players come off of availability not related to anything that happened on the field. So just because you got through last week's game, Monday injury report, nobody on it. Cool. As long as nobody gets hurt in practice, we're good. That's not the story right now in the NFL. So
if Kyle Shanahan, do you know who would be a pretty big loss? What if he tested positive?
Absolutely. Because he's probably never
What would they do?
Well, I would imagine head coach becomes
Hightower. A lot of teams just make the special teams coach the interim coach.
Do you take special teams responsibility away from him for that?
Yeah, I would not. Kyle couldn't do that.
I mean, McDaniel has to call plays, even though Kyle's probably never let him call a play in his life.
Yeah, I don't think you could do to McDaniel or definitely DeMeco's first year as defensive coordinator. You couldn't ask him to be the head coach too. Maybe you just make it like one of your older coaches on staff, like your O-line coach or something.
You got John Embry.
Yeah, I would imagine it'd be something like that. The tight end coach.
Scangarello.
Do you remember John Embry's 2-year stint as the Colorado head coach?
I do. I do.
Too.
But you'd have who's in that? Parag in the headset, a la David Culley, to help him with timeouts.
Can you imagine the reaction?
Bobby Turner.
And I would only want this to happen. Like, I would be interested to see what it looks like. If the game didn't mean anything, I just want to see what the offense would look like without him. If it got announced that Hightower was the interim coach for the week, what the reaction just on social media would be. I mean, it'd be hilarious.
Mike McDaniel as the OC would be fascinating.
Yeah, I would.
Because, again, he's done all this preparation. Kyle's probably never let him call a single play.
I think he probably chimes in with some ideas.
Yeah, probably. I guarantee he chimes in with some ideas.
Mike had screamed at back shut.
I think it's probably less democratic than the preparation, though. The game calling. But anyway, Elijah Mitchell back. Really, it's more about not just Thursday night. It's just Elijah Mitchell healthy is a big deal because he's one of their best players.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if he's playing, their talent. Do you know what shows you about Jeff Wilson? And this when their season starts. I was thinking about this the other day. Their running back room would have really been good, fully healthy. Because Mozart brings an element that they don't. I mean, he's one of the fastest guys in the league.
Yeah.
And so you get him, and then you would have had Elijah Mitchell past Trey Sermon, and then Jeff Wilson's your third string guy, running behind Kittle, Trent Williams, and Juszczyk on tosses. I mean, holy moly. No one hit the toss harder than Mozart. Probably why he's had like 7 knee injuries in the last year and a half. I saw someone put on Instagram like, Mozart has dropped the crutches. He's walking now. Like that's like a positive for a Kyle Shanahan running back. Like 5 months after a surgery, it's like he's able to walk on his own. It's like, good luck. You know when Eli refused to play for the Chargers? If I was like Kenneth Walker or whoever in the draft, I'd be like, Niners, do not draft me. I will not sign with the 49ers. I have nothing but
you want to go to
respect for
Andy
the franchise. Yeah. Send me to Andy. He just throws screens. Clyde's like, yeah, it's pretty good over here, bro.
You get as many carries in 4 years in Kansas City as Kyle give you in one. I mean, it's pretty wild, though. Jeff Wilson, here is Elijah Mitchell. I think you take a moment to acknowledge. Here's Elijah Mitchell by far and away as a rookie, right? 165 attempts, by far and away the Niners leader in attempts. By far. He has exactly 100 more attempts than the person who has the second most carries on the team. And do you know who has the second most carries on the team? Jeff Wilson Jr.
Well, see, this to me goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. Think of what the Titans would do right now for Jeff Wilson Jr. They were signing Adrian Peterson off the scrap heap, and then they cut him 2 weeks later because they realized he just wasn't any good. Like, they would die for that. So your backup running back, who really is like your third running back, would easily start for the team you're about to play. All your wide receivers and obviously your tight end. They got a couple defensive guys for sure. But other than that, your talent, like that to me is what jumped out, where their record, but the talent gap. So if Elijah comes back, I saw Kyle say that Alshire will be like a game time decision. But if he's able to go with Fred, who easily had, like, you and I talk sometimes, like, listen, I don't know if Bowman and Willis get enough credit. Like Fred Warner, once he became a Pro Bowler, like he's a really good player. But those guys, like just watching, I went back and watched some of that Atlanta Falcon, just the highlight package. 52 and 53, I mean, look like fucking Ray Lewis.
You knew you were watching some of the best players ever that you'd ever seen when you watched those two.
It's like, this does not look normal. I watched the NFL all day, Sundays for 20 years. These two guys. Fred had his version of that game last week. Now, it was the Falcons, but just his violence is flying around. Like, maybe he just kind of realized having a down seat, they needed him. They had some injuries. If you get that Fred Warner, who's not Bowman or Willis, but I thought last week it felt more like 2020 Fred Warner of like, yeah, this guy's one of the top middle linebackers in the league. Their team is really good, because the one separating factor for this team is they have guys that can play for given stretches for a season, like starting Pro Bowl players. And if you have 7-8 starting Pro Bowl players, even if your quarterback is a little bit of a roller coaster, it's hard to not be pretty good every week. And now they're playing a team with how many Pro Bowlers with all their injuries are they going to roll in with? Simmons? That's it? Maybe their safety?
Defensive tackle, yeah.
31.
Byard's is an all-pro.
But I watched the Patriot game. He got Kendrick Bourne scored a touchdown on him. It's not like thing with a Pro Bowl safety, there's like Ed Reed's, and then there's just Pro Bowl safeties. He's good. He makes some plays.
No, I'm with you. It jumps out when to me, and I mentioned this, I think to you, maybe I mentioned this, we did a YouTube-only Raider Brown video Monday night. Maybe it was then I said it, but to me, what makes the Niners players like Debo and Kittle and Ayuk really pop is when you watch a game where neither team has either of those guys. Like when you watch Raiders-Browns, there were none of those guys. And it makes you realize the 49ers have some of the best players in the league to get the ball to. Some of the best, most talented, elite production players in the NFL. Like, I don't know if there was how many yak yards combined between the Browns and the Raiders. It felt like 9 total between the two teams. That's every single play Debo or Kittle touch the ball. It is, you cannot look away. They try to do something. And that's really incredible. And Elijah, he's not on that level, but I mean, he's 4.6 yards per attempt on the ground. I mean, and he's 17 catches. I mean, it's been maybe even underrated what an incredible rookie year this guy's having, considering where he was drafted, where he came from.